Hey, so guys, today I wanted to make something aware. Today's material is it's more about learning rather than doing something. So, what I've noticed over the past, let's say, year or so, is that as evolved humans, we lack certain skills, certain primitive skills, certain ancestral skills that we've had or that we developed in order to survive. So let me give you an example: jumping, climbing, maybe lateral movements. A lot of what we do today has taken away almost every need to have those skills. Hence why I think a lot of us get comfortable in the city, because we don't have to use a lot of those skills. However, having those skills does something extremely special for us. That being, it keeps us feeling young. So something that I want to talk about is, in some ways, just aging and growing with fitness and wellness as you progress through life. Most people think that when you get to a certain age, it's okay to start letting things go, to let yourself go, to kind of wander off, and now you've got this family life, now you've got your career, now you've got all these things that are in some ways distractions from you kind of figuring out who the real you is and what you are truly capable of physically, mentally, and potentially spiritually. So I'm trying to open your mind to why some of these ideas are quite important, such as jumping, climbing, swimming, and all of these skills. So the next few videos, I'm going to enlighten you on some of these skills that I'm talking about, that you can try, that you can kind of talk about at work, that you can talk about wherever, and challenge each other with. Because the one thing I'm noticing, and I've tested a couple people, young people, older people, a lot of people cannot jump. Jumping is one of the most basic movements that we learn as a kid, but where once you're past 16, 17, 18, does jumping have a purpose? But it's still good to know that you can do something like that. What happens when you get to 70 and you no longer can jump, you no longer can run backwards, sideways, you can no longer reach for something because you've lost your flexibility? Do you know how old that's going to make us feel as human beings? So that's kind of what I'm trying to influence you guys on, is think about what you haven't done in a long time. Just think long and hard and figure out how you can do those things. Figure out how much time you can dedicate to practicing life skills, apart from sitting down at a TV or something like that. If you're somebody that spends time at TV, you're losing out on opportunity. There's opportunity everywhere, even if it's at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. There's never really an excuse to not be able to practice, even if it's short term. So that's kind of where my sensitivity comes in. And if you have kids, bring your kids to the park. Look, you can practice with your kids. That's just my take. Some parents will see that as something different, but really and truly, I don't think that there's ever an excuse, especially, since it's just awareness. If you're aware that you haven't done something in a long time that you used to be able to do, or you're having trouble with your routine because you're bored, because you just go to the gym and you do the same routine over and over again, you got to switch things up. You got to really think, what kind of medallions can I obtain? What's truly important to me? What's going to prove to me that I'm actually a strong human being that can fend for myself if I ever had to, And how am I going to make sure that I don't impact the healthcare system as an individual? Because, from what I'm hearing, it's apparently okay to be 50 and over and start letting things go. I came across a father of two girls, and he was flying his kite, and I was like, yo man, what happened? What if you try running with your kite? And he's like, oh, no, no, no. He was only 40. He told me he's way too old to be running. And that his daughters can go do that. In my head, I thought, holy crap, that's so pathetic. He's a human being with every opportunity. He can walk around, he can do everything, but he's making the excuse that he can't because of his age. That's exactly what the problem is here. And I just want to give you guys the notion that anybody has the opportunity to grow, whether you're 70, 80, 90. It's a very special feeling being able to accomplish certain things regardless of your age. Being, a 7-year-old being able to do a push-up or a pull-up versus all the other people that are breaking down because maybe they haven't thought about things, maybe they weren't conscious enough or aware enough. So when you come across your environment, be aware, practice certain things, think about certain things that may save your life at some point if you ever decide to go if you ever decide to go on big hikes or traveling or something like that. Having the more skills is going to give you the ultimate travel experience, because you won't be ever held back. You know, like crossing a little creek, if you had to jump across, some people would be afraid of doing something like that. You know, so think about those things. You know, the next time you kind of come across a park, or you're seeing kids doing their things, maybe you want to practice. Don't care what other people think, because that's the issue too, is that a lot of people will avoid coming out here thinking, oh, you know, like it's not the normal thing to do. Going to the gym is the normal thing to do. But that's the problem, is that the gym is the normal thing to do, but the gym is a zero growth zone. You don't learn too much. It's a place of comfort where you're given everything. When you're given your environment, now you're being challenged, because it's simple and you got to think outside the box. So you're almost in some ways going to be rewriting your brain and kind of reprogramming all these new moves that you kind of learned from back in the day. You know, so that's a very special feeling that you can kind of hold very deep inside to yourself and kind of guard, but share with other people all about your experiences. What kind of experiences can you share when you pressed, I don't know, on the bench press machine or something like that? Yeah, it's cool, you got a PR. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's not going to save your life. That's not going to, you know, that's more of an aesthetics thing, and it's an intrinsic feeling when you bench press something out like that, or squat a max. But at the end of the day, there's all these other opportunities outside, and if the gym's closed, a lot of people, that's their excuse to take a whole day off. There is never, ever an excuse to take a whole day off. Every day we need to be moving. Every day we need to not be sitting. Those who are sitting are putting their lives at some serious risk, and same with the healthcare system. You know, and people wonder, how do I get rid of this little, you know, this little bit of package that I'm kind of carrying? You just gotta move. It's as simple as that. You've just got to move. You've got to get out of your seat. You've got to stretch. You've got to move. You've got to kind of rotate the arms. You've got to rotate the legs. You've got to go through the motions and do what your body was naturally meant to do. And you know what that is? It was meant to do everything. It was meant to do every track event, you know, running, sprinting. You know, all of these are primitive movements that, you know, you would have used to kind of prolong your life, catch your food, defend yourself, everything. If you can no longer do any of those things, pretend. You'd probably get killed out in the wild. But, you know, the more you can do, the more you'll save yourself in the end. You know, so think about all of that, process it, come across some amazing pieces like these ones, and just practice. Just take the opportunity to think, how can I strengthen myself? Maybe you'll learn something about yourself that you never ever knew. And that, to me, is one of the greatest gifts of life, is to be able to get to really know who you are and get to know your full potential as a human being. I hope you guys found this interesting. I love talking about this stuff. If you have questions, concerns, by all means, send me a message, send me you know, an email, shayjohnson12@gmail.com, you know, and we'll kind of go from there. Just never stop learning, always keep growing, and have fun doing it.